You didn't choose to be born. You didn't choose your DNA. You didn't choose the environment that wired your brain. So, how can you claim to own the choices that emerge from them? Buckle up. We're going to look behind the curtain. And once you see the strings, you can never go back to being just a puppet. Chapter 1. The Myth of the One. Most of us live under the assumption that there is a single I sitting behind our eyes, pulling the levers of our lives. But in reality, you aren't a single person, you're a negotiation. Your mind is a coalition government made up of competing subsystems: impulse, long-term planning, fear, and social desire. What you experience as a decision is simply the moment one internal faction finally gains enough leverage to outvote the others. This is why willpower feels so fleeting. Self-control isn't a character trait, it's a biological energy management strategy. Your brain is constantly asking, is this action worth the metabolic cost? When you're stressed or sleep deprived, your cognitive bandwidth shrinks, and the short-term faction wins the vote every time. Laziness isn't a flaw, it's your brain's way of conserving energy when it no longer believes the goal is worth the calories. Chapter 2. The Social Performance. We like to think our private choices are ours alone, but humans are evolved survival machines designed for groups. This means your brain is constantly simulating an audience. Even when you are alone in a room, you are performing. Every choice you make is filtered through a hidden universal currency: status. Whether you're buying a luxury car or humbly rejecting a trend, your brain is calculating how that move affects your place in the tribe. We don't just act, we justify. Your capacity for reason wasn't designed to find the truth, it was designed to be a lawyer, defending your prior beliefs and persuading others that you are a person of value. If you can't explain a behavior, look for the status incentive. It is almost always there, hidden under the surface of your rational explanations. Chapter 3. The Prediction Machine. The most jarring truth of neuroscience is that you don't actually see the world as it is. Your brain is a prediction machine, not a truth machine. It doesn't wait for information to come in. It preloads reality based on past patterns. Emotions aren't just reactions to things that happen. They are predictions your brain makes to prepare your body for what it thinks is coming. Anxiety isn't a response to a threat. It's a metabolic preloading for a threat that hasn't arrived yet. Your preferences aren't stable, discovered treasures either. They are constructed on the spot based on how a choice is framed. Change the order of options and your brain builds a new preference instantly. You aren't observing reality. You're living inside a useful, simplified approximation of it. Chapter 4. The Narrator's Illusion. Free will feels real for one simple, haunting reason: you don't see the process. By the time a thought reaches your conscious awareness, the heavy lifting has already been done in the basement of your subconscious. Studies show that your brain initiates the physical movement for a choice milliseconds before you even decide to move. Your consciousness is not the commander-in-chief, it is the press secretary. Its job is to observe what the body has already done and then spin a coherent story to make it sound intentional. We don't act because we think to explain why we acted. This is why logic rarely changes minds. Conflict isn't about facts, it's about identity threat. If a new fact threatens the story of who you are, your brain will reject the truth to save the narrative. Chapter 5. Hacking the System. If the self is a story and free will is a lag in the system, how do we actually change? The 0.01% of experts know that you don't change through effort, you change through architecture. Small environmental changes outperform big personal efforts every single time. If you want to change your life, don't try to will your way through it. Reclassify your identity. Once your brain tags a behavior as, this is what someone like me does, it stops the internal negotiation entirely. It becomes a habit, a compressed shortcut that saves energy. We don't optimize for happiness, we optimize for meaning. We will endure extreme hardship if it fits our story. To change the man, you must change the map. You are not the driver of the car, you are the process of the car driving. And once you see the strings, you can finally stop fighting the machine and start designing the environment it moves through. The outro. The final mirror. We like to think we are the architects of our destiny, but as we've seen, we are more like the observers of a complex biological storm. If your brain makes the move before you decide, and if your environment dictates your will, then the version of you that you've known your whole life is just the narrator of a story it didn't write. But here is the final, most important insight. Understanding the illusion is the only way to gain a seat at the table. You cannot will yourself into a new life, but you can curate the inputs that feed your machine.